I fought with it, and I struggled, and, I couldn't, for the life of me, I could not say no, which was something that I had never experienced before in all my life. I was a virgin because I was able to say no to every woman who had ever tried, and say no to myself when I wanted to try. I never got into alcohol or drugs or anything like that because I could do that. But for the first time ever, I couldn't. And I felt so incredibly weak. So hopeless and so depressed, and the sheer weight of everything that was there. I mean, I was low. I had already wanted to die, and that was why I joined the army. Now suddenly I'm stuck in this life where everything that was me was missing. I was subject to a struggle that I had overcome when I was a boy, and now, being much older, being a man, and I was completely and utterly helpless before my own whims. I remember that I would lay up at night, and I'd fight it, and fight it, and fight it, and I'd finally cave. And what I would do is I'd end up, I'd be awake afterwards, and I'd just be bawling my eyes out, and I'd beg God for forgiveness. I'd pray and I'd ask Him to forgive me. And I remember afterwards, every time I would beg for death. The prayer went something along the lines of, Lord, I'd ask for forgiveness, and then I'd just be like, alright, so because I asked forgiveness, you've forgiven me, right? If you've forgiven me, then I'm clean, right? I'm clean, so please kill me now. Strike me dead. That way, I can go to heaven. I can be in heaven like you want me to. I mean, that is what you want, right? So just kill me. Kill me now. And we can be okay. I fought with this for 2 years. I never saw any success, no matter how hard I tried. Being in different circumstances didn't change anything. Nothing worked. Finally, one day, I was up praying, and I was given a verse. Of all the books in the Bible, it was out of Revelation. But it was Revelation 3:21. And it said, to the effect of, to him who sits on my throne, to him who overcomes, I'll give the right to sit with me on my throne, just as my Father gave me the right to sit with him on his throne. And I remember reading that, and it blew me away. Because for all my time being raised in the church, and then going back to God when I was about 18, 19, I had never understood God's love for his people. See, that passage was Christ speaking to one of the churches that had, one of the churches in the end of days. And he reached out and he said this to them. And see, there were many different blessings that he offered, many promises that he made to these different churches. But this one in particular was the one that God brought to my attention. And one thing that I had struggled with over my time was the idea of, what does heaven look like? And everyone asks that. And you hear a lot of different stories, and I had come to the conclusion that maybe heaven was a place where free will didn't exist. And in some ways I thought that was a blessing. Maybe God wanted robots. I mean, I've heard that from other people before, so I know I'm not the only one that jumped to that conclusion. But what I came to understand on that day, with that message, was God's not looking for robots. He's looking for sons and daughters. He wants them to sit with him on his throne in heaven. Not serve at his feet, not beg him. To sit with him on the very highest of places, where he sits, in his place of honor. And that's what he wants. And that's what's available to the people who come to him. On that day, I ceased to be addicted to pornography. I was healed of that. I was healed of the addiction. I should be very specific. I could say no. God changed me that day. Because I came to understand what it was that he sought. And I gained a perspective on Jesus that was very, very different from anything that I had known before. In all my devotion, when I was with that small church, I never understood. Frankly, most of them never understood. It was only when I left that church that I was able to really grow in my walk with Christ. And learn this. And then I learned more. It's been about 5 years since that happened, since that day, since I was healed of that addiction. And I won't lie to you and say that everything was honky-dory and perfect from that point on. No, it's been hell. There's been plenty more. Unfortunately, see, from there, I ended up going and working within the realm of the church. God, the first time God ever spoke to me directly, he told me to start a Bible study. And then he told me who he wanted for leaders and so on. And my life became devoted to Christ. And he's healed me of various things. He healed me of depression. He healed me of bitterness. He healed me of so many different things. Emotional, physical ails, but more than anything, the emotional ones. And see, the truth of the matter is that there are a lot of skeptics, a lot of people who wonder, about God and what he's about. And I used to be one of them. But I can tell you the truth, that in the midst of my addiction, I struggled so much. And he taught me how much he loved me. And ended my addictions. Now I have since looked at pornography, I have since gone that route. But I've done so with, so many other things, knowing that the full weight of accountability lies on my shoulders because, it was a choice I made. Haven't been addicted, though. I've been able to say no. I just haven't always. Which is my bad. And that's not a concession that I'm making. It's the truth. One thing that I've stopped doing as well is lying. There's no point. Even if it makes you look bad, it's part of life. You get to look bad sometimes because you do bad things sometimes. But seeing the weight of everything that's been shared here, I would hope that two things that you can walk away from this understanding is, number one, there is nothing you cannot be forgiven for. There is nothing that you have done that God cannot make you clean of. There is nothing that you have become that God cannot change. And that I would hope that you can also understand that God's love transcends what you may have ever thought. He's not looking for a robot, he's looking for you. He's looking for a son or a daughter, he's looking for someone who wants to follow him, he's looking for somebody who may hold the very highest of places in heaven. That's what he wants. That's what he wants to make you. More than you can be on your own. And that is something that will last forever. Nonetheless, I stand in that place now, knowing what God has called me to and wants me to be and has made me to be. That's why I can say in confidence that everything that I've just said, relating to you, relating to your friends, relating to your family, there's no closed door to heaven. He wants everyone in. Even the really bad people. If your nature is twisted and evil, he can change your nature. That's the power of God. That's the power of Christ. So with that, that is your introduction to me. It's where I've been. It's what I've done. And there's plenty more, but we'll get to that. This is the testimony. And this is what I hope that you can take away from it. I'll put up another thing when God tells me to.